Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. By the way, family, you can hear me. Excellent. All right, I'm coming on back then. Let's do this. All right, thank you, family, for your patience. Y'all are dope, and like I said, this is definitely proof. Definitely proof that this is our broadcast, okay? Because y'all keep me straight. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate the love. I appreciate y'all going ahead and letting the brother know that and by the way, is the sound clear? Is it choppy? Give me some feedback on that. We should, right? 118. This is, hey, my name might be on the marquee, right? But this is definitely our broadcast. We built this thing together, and I definitely appreciate the love and the support. Y'all are everything. I swear, my subs, I got the best subs on YouTube, bar none, because y'all make sure that a brother is straight, and I definitely appreciate that. All right, sweet. Okay, so I'm gonna start over, right? I don't know how much y'all heard, so I'm just gonna start over. First of all, throw some coins your brother's way. Click the link. You know what I'm saying? If you believe and support me long term and you want to make sure that you do that, there's my Patreon right there. Go ahead and do that. By the way, if you're watching live, you come to my house, let me know you're here, right? We want to shout you out. I want to make sure to show you some love for the support. So if you are watching live, like 118 and Miss Denny are, pop into the chat. And peace, 118. Welcome to the broadcast. Finally. All right. So as I was saying, the topic of today's broadcast is past performance is no guarantee of future results. And I did mention that I have a personal investment in this, right? Part of the reason why I chose this topic for today's broadcast is because of the complacency that some of us experience when we're listening to various sources of information, media. We get comfortable in not necessarily questioning them, just kind of letting them talk, right? And we don't really put any mental effort into what they're saying. And so over time, as people's positions evolves, there are changes that occur naturally, right? In other words, I've done this now for 3 years. And although I've tried really hard to stay consistent on message, on point, the same stuff that I was talking when I started is the same stuff I'm still talking about today. I've evolved on various topics. I've had new information come in and things like that, and I've had to change up some things. So some degree of change is inevitable in the people that you listen to, right? In the people that you participate in data sharing and information with, right? But the complacency, when that comes in, opens up a real danger of people being able to kind of switch the game up on us, right? And so I wanted to talk about that today, right? I used a quote in the broadcast that discuss investments, right? And I want to read to you that quote. The 4 most dangerous words in investing are this time it's different, right? That's the most 4 dangerous words, right? Because when we engage with somebody who's speaking on a topic or on a message that we resonate with, that we vibe with, we are literally investing in them. We're investing our time in them. We're investing our hearts into them. We're investing our emotions into them. We're investing what little brain power that we utilize in order to analyze their message, their verbiage, their rhetoric. We're investing that in them, right? But most of what we call investment today is actually just nothing more than complicated gambling, right? We're basically throwing the dice when we trust certain individuals to bring us information, right? We're never really 100% certain that the people that are bringing us the information, the data that we need, have our best interests at heart as a matter of course, right? So we take a shot. We take a flyer on them, right? Those of you who listen to me, I would like to hope that I've been consistent, on topic, on message, with actual practical, factual methods and means by which we can understand, combat, and ultimately defeat whiteism and its acolytes. That's been my stated goal since video one to now. And I hope that I've been able to adhere to that. But the problem is that because we can't ever be sure that we're not falling for the bait and switch, even when we do take in bits of information from other black people, it's in the spirit not of actual true inquiry. It's more along the lines of, all right, I fucks with them, but I can't say for a certainty when the other shoe gonna drop, right? I don't know if there's gonna be in the future at some point a bait and switch. So our interactions with each other, especially when we're exchanging information, it already comes, there's already a bias that comes with it, right? We've seen so many people that we thought when we were riding high with them that there's no way that they could ever not be on the team, only to find out later on that they was really actually on some different shit. And so because they were on some different shit, they sold us a bill of goods, right? They pulled a bait and switched. Like She Who Must Not Be Named, right, in 2019, started off in the game talking about, evil albinoid devils, right? And we was all vibing on that. Like, we was all like, shit, I got to get my daily dose. But then at some point, she flipped the script and started bashing on black men, started disrespecting black men, right? You see what I'm saying? That's the fear. And to a certain extent, it's a justified one, right? Because we've seen it all too often. There was an incident or a situation that happened recently that provides us with an object lesson on why past performance is no guarantee of future results. For those of you who can be bothered to crack open a book about black people every so often, you probably are familiar with the name that I'm about to mention. And it gives me a degree of sorrow, actually, to mention this person's name. But in the spirit of honoring the truth, of honest inquiry, and also holding motherfuckers accountable for the shit that they say and do, I have to throw this name out here. Michelle Alexander. You know Michelle Alexander. She is the author of the book titled The New Jim Crow, discussing the mass incarceration system and how it's a reflection of a new type of slavery in the United States, right? Recently, she wrote an op-ed, and since I'm not subscribed to the motherfuckers, I've read it, but if you have an opportunity to go on the New York Times website, she wrote an op-ed titled, "None of Us Deserve Citizenship." And in this op-ed, she basically argued that those of us who are considered citizens of the United States, right, of Fortress America, have done nothing to earn our citizenship. It was just simply given to us. And so she argued that why should we then hold so tightly to giving, to the rejection of the giving of some sort of naturalization or citizenship to immigrants that attempt to come into the country? And if you read the article, family, essentially it is her arguing from a moral standpoint of view that we should have some sort of open border policy to just let anybody who requests to be an immigrant come here. Now, family, I'm going to just flat out tell you That is an open betrayal of the descendants of slaves in this country. An open betrayal from a person whose seminal work was instrumental in some of us even getting involved in the struggle to liberate our people. Her advocacy for a policy that has been clearly shown to have nothing but deleterious effects on Black people, on the descendants of slaves in this country, boggles the mind. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. We all thought that in her seminal work, right, the new Jim Crow, and her powerful argumentation about the similarities between the current mass incarceration system and the chattel slavery system set up from 1619 and moving forward to 1865. We thought that we would never expect to hear from Michelle Alexander an advocacy for a group of people that it can be clearly shown when they come here mean no good for us, whether it's by denying us opportunities for gainful employment that we would otherwise have, whether it's by their bigotry and prejudice being reinforced under the system of whiteism, and so on. Yet she did that. And she did it on one of the most public forums this country has. She is an object lesson, family, in why there is so much distrust of Black people who speak a good game at some point, but our family are sitting there with the idea of waiting for the other shoe to drop. Cooning, as we all commonly know, is a thing. It is definitely a thing, right? You have Black people that in order to better their individual positions under the temple of whiteism, right, will do things, say things, be things that benefit them individually but are harmful to us as a collective. Another recent example was the coming out of the 2011 broadcast with Chris Rock and Louis C.K., where he let Louis C.K. drop an M-bomb and co-sign that shit. I don't know if y'all have seen it, but if you haven't seen it, Chris Rock was basically telling Louis C.K. that he was like the blackest white comedian out there. And Louis C.K. busts out, "So you're saying I'm a nigger?" And Chris Rock said, "Yes, you're the most niggerish white man," and so on and so forth, right? I mean, just completely cooned the fuck out. So cooning is a thing. And because of this, because of clear indications of a lack of integrity by the voices that we listen to, basically at this point, our people feel like that when they listen to somebody, when they give their eyes and ears and their hearts to somebody, they have to do it half-ass. They can't ever be all in, because they feel that at some point they're going to fall victim to the bait and switch. That the other shoe is going to drop and the message is going to change. And that's a goddamn shame. Not to mention the fact that it's a huge problem. Part of the reason why it's such a huge problem is because ultimately it prevents the dissemination of information. I can sit here and say all day long that you should be attached to the information no matter who it comes from. Even if it's the devil himself that gives you the truth, take it. But the fact is that we know that people and personalities matter. As much as I wish it wasn't the case, it's a truth. People and personalities matter. We don't just pay attention to the message. We pay attention to the messenger. And so with our personal investment in the messenger themselves, what ends up happening is that once the messenger switches up, excuse me, changes the game up, we not only disregard the new information that's coming in and the messenger, but we end up throwing out the old information as well. We simply just, because of the lack of willingness to do any real heavy lifting when it comes to the people that we get information from, we simply throw it all out. We assume that because of this new bullshit, that the old information no longer has any validity either. And that's a major issue, because although I am personally disappointed in Michelle's advocacy of this bullshit, this open border bullshit, I am not going to disregard the new Jim Crow. That shit was true. Simply because she's on some fuckery right now to try to get more pale liberal white people and people of color credibility doesn't discount what the work was that she did before. It just simply means now we can't be as comfortable with this motherfucker making pronouncements on shit. Now we have to point the finger at Michelle Alexander and say, who the fuck are you, bitch? You did the work previously. We know what that is. We've been able to pick apart that, unpack it, dissect it, analyze it, and look at it for the truth that it is. But this new bullshit that you on, we can't ride. You feel me, family? This cooning shit makes it supremely difficult to give information out, primarily because at some point when the switch happens, when we start doing the buck dancing and the soft shoeing, when we start watering down what we saying or start trying to include more motherfuckers in it who ain't black, what ends up happening is that it discounts everything that was said before. Family, you can see evidence of this same thing in your personal relationships. Because how many times have you been involved with somebody who, when you first met them, oh, they seemed like they was on point, right? They had their game on point. They looked good, they smelled good, they talked good, you felt good. Then you get about 6 months into the relationship because, you know, they brought to the table, or at least you thought they brought to the table what you like, only for the real them to come out, right? The woman who used to dress up nice for you and look good and smell nice for you, all of a sudden, whenever you see her, she's wearing sweatpants. The brother that had no problem waking up at 3 a.m. so that you could get to work at 6 a.m. and come in and help and replace the brakes on your car, now won't even take out the trash. The bait and switch. See, the reason why this bait and switch is so effective for black people is because we all have an innate sense of what constitutes somebody who's on our team. That's right. We're not stupid. We have this innate sense, this innate idea of who is it that is for us. Right? We know what they sound like, what our hearts feel like when we hear them. And so when we get that vibe from people, it's real easy for us to jump on board with that. I mean, we're craving that. We're craving to have real voices out here of real advocacy for real African people, especially for us here in America, descendants of slaves, but for black people, children of Africa in general, is so few that when anybody comes out and they says anything that in some way relates to us and our issues, we eat it up. And I understand that emotional reaction. Like I said, I'm loath to have mentioned her name, especially in relation to this particular topic. But because past performance is not a guarantee that the future results of this individual will remain the same as they was in the past, there's some things that we have to make sure that we do. There's an old saying, family, that the price of freedom or liberation is eternal vigilance, meaning that even when we start getting gains, when we start holding W's instead of L's, the only way we're going to continue to maintain those wins is by being vigilant against the possibility of loss. It isn't as if our struggle is at some point going to culminate to where we don't have to do anything else, that we could just sit back and enjoy the fruits of our past labors. That's not how this thing works. Even the day whiteism dies, we are going to have to make sure that we remain vigilant against its rise, against its resurrection. We have to learn, family, to set proper boundaries. We have to draw individual lines in the sand. We have to draw familial lines in the sand. And ultimately, as a collective, we have to draw collective or community or national lines in the sand. Places beyond which, if someone crosses, there's no discussion. There's no hemming and hawing. There's no trying to figure it out. There's just simply the X. They're done. Boundaries is how you maintain your integrity as an individual. It's how your family maintains its integrity. And ultimately, it's how the people, the nation, maintains their integrity. I want to talk about something because, like I said, the reason why this topic is something that I wanted to discuss is because it's personal. It hits close to home. Because part of the reason why Michelle Alexander felt that she was able to advocate for this bullshit ass position of open borders is because she has gotten a certain degree of acceptance from liberal pale people and other so-called people of color. She has a certain degree of credibility with them. Because, family, if you read the book, you would notice something that, because we were so focused on how this book spoke to us and our experience in Fortress America, we kind of let this other thing slide. But if you look in her book, and I own the book and I've read the book multiple times, you will constantly hear references to Michelle Alexander making statements like people of color, black and brown people, and so on. Because, family, I would argue that part of this is the fact that we whiffed on some key things that would have told us at least the possibility that Miss Alexander would one day flip the script on us, that one day she would say something or advocate something that means fuckery for us. One of those signs that you see is The use of terms like people of color, like black and brown, like the inclusion of other people with us. As the descendants of slaves in this country, we have a unique lineage, a unique history that nobody in this country has. Nobody. No one else here has ever experienced chattel slavery and its horrible after effects. I don't give a fuck who you are. Yet, in her great work, her magnum opus, if you will, she gave us intimations that she was open to having her work give her credibility not just with black people, the descendants of slaves in this country, but also with people of color and their liberal pale allies. The real danger in this from these past pale people connections is that the addiction to pale acceptance makes all of us vulnerable to fucking over black people again to get it. I'm going to repeat that. The real danger that exists from connections, either in the past or current connections to pale acceptance, to pale people, is that their acceptance, that soothing balm, makes us vulnerable to fucking over other black people again to get it. Because there is no black person in this country at some point, at some time, who hasn't done something to try to placate pale people. Ain't nobody so super pro-black that they haven't done something that helps foster whiteism. Whether it's through the practice of colorism in our community, which fosters whiteism, right? Whether it's engaging in rampant criminal activity, which benefits whiteism, right? Simply because you haven't had any interactions with pale people doesn't mean that you haven't done something that helps foster, to helps forward, to helps benefits whites and whiteism. And the danger in those of us who have had access to pale people's spaces, right? Because remember, Michelle Alexander is an academic. She's a scholar. She's a lawyer. She's worked for the ACLU. She's went to college and had access to pale liberal spaces where they have listened to her ideas and said, yeah, what you got to say is on point. It's on point. So she's had that balm of acceptance, which means that if she's gained some degree of addiction, like most black people in the same situation would have, it makes her vulnerable in a very special way, because it means that at any point she needs that soothing balm of acceptance, all she has to do is get it is to fuck black people over, to advocate for positions that are harmful to us, to use rhetoric that is harmful to us, and she'll get it. Because family, the truth be told, this is the real reason why there's so many people out there that hate your man Mark Black, who say that I cannot be a voice for our people. That's the real reason. Is because they are deathly afraid that at some point I am going to have to sell them out for the acceptance of the pale people in my life. That's the real reason why they hate me. If I was fucking anybody else, nobody would care. Oh, you'd have a few black people who would be like, he shouldn't be fucking that Latina bitch. Or, he shouldn't be fucking that Asian bitch. Right? Just a few. But the fact that she's pale, see, that makes it especially egregious. Because how many times, family, have we seen black people that get some degree of acceptance from pale people, and then they start softening things up. They start, mixing up the message to be more inclusive and less exclusive. They start changing up the rhetoric, making it a little bit more polished and nuanced. They stop talking just about black people, for black people, with black people, and start reaching out on some kumbaya shit. So see, family, I understand why some of you won't fuck with me. I get it. I absolutely get it. It makes perfect sense to expect that one day your man Mark Black will betray you. Now, I'm not saying you're right, but I'm saying I understand the sentiment. Because we've heard it a lot of times before. I'm black, y'all. I'm black, y'all. I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. Until they not. Family, we have to look at some solutions to this problem. Now, I've mentioned a couple already, right? I've talked about we need to be mindful of the bait and switch, meaning that, simply put, we shouldn't be so quick to give our hearts to people, right? We should give them the eyeball for a minute. This goes for relationships, like love, sexual relationships. This goes for the people whose information we're interested in or who's saying things that we like. This goes across the board. You'd be surprised, family, at what you can spot just by opening your eyes, by being patient and watching for a minute. This isn't to say that you can't enjoy what you enjoy. This isn't to say that you can't hear somebody call pale people a bunch of evil albinoid caucasoid devils and not get a chuckle out of it. Shit, I'll say it right now. Evil albinoid devils. Y'all motherfuckers should be laughing your ass off right now. Because I know I am, right? That's okay. But what I'm saying is that to the extent that we see somebody come up that appears to be saying something of substance, something of note, don't run to them so eagerly to give your hearts, your minds, your support. Let them establish a solid track record of saying things consistently. Understand, family, understand this truth. The only thing that's constant is change. Right? Miss Denny said cave savages from West Asia. Hey, y'all know I'll go to fuck in. Okay? What's my shit, family? Cousin fucking three-tooth having, dirt farming, hookworm bearing, cave savages, genetically deficient motherfuckers from West Asia. You know me. I'll go in. That shit is fun. It sounds good. We all enjoy a good roast of our historic and current oppressors. Believe you me. Right? But family, understand that the truth is that the only thing that's constant is change. The people that you listen to will change, and they should change. Family, one thing to be aware of, one thing that's a caution, a red flag, is somebody who never changes their position. This isn't to say that there is no such thing as the truth. Truth is truth. We've already established that in past broadcasts. But what this is to say is that new information arises almost on a constant basis, especially as relates to our ongoing struggle under whiteism. New information becomes available. New information needs to be shared. Old information may need to be updated. Corrections may be in the offing. Okay? So somebody that you've been listening to for 5 years that just keeps saying the same shit, they may just be a one-trick pony, which is not necessarily bad, but it's extremely limited. What you want, family, is someone who is willing to alter, change as the information changes, right? None of us are what we were, and we may not be what we are today in the future. That's facts. Family, I have said this before, and it bears repeating. We have to stop acting as if we can afford the luxury of being passive consumers of information. You have to be willing to use logic and critical thinking and consider the sources. Family, I know it's easier to just trust in the people that you listen to or that you get information from. The problem is that trust can only go so far. If you trust me, I am pleased by that. It makes me happy. But what would make me happier is if you didn't trust me. If you took the information that I gave you and you probed it and you questioned it and you analyzed it and you unpacked it and you dissected it and made sure that it was relevant, that it was practical, actual, factual information that you can use right now to defeat our historic and current oppressors. That would please me more. But you'll notice that a lot of folk won't advocate that you do that. They hold themselves out as the authority, as the one who has the answer. I don't have the answers. I have some answers. And I think and I hope that the answers I have are good ones, that they're salient, that they're relevant. But it is not my job completely to make sure that's the case. It is all of our job. You can't just sit here and passively hoover up information from your man and think that it's going to always be on point. This is a two-way street. I commit to delivering you as best I'm able, factual, practical, real, true, solid information that you can use. So I'm leading you to the water. But you have to bend your neck down and you have to taste it for yourself. You have to make sure that that information is valid. And you have to understand that new information arises. I might say something that's slightly different, that's nuanced. It doesn't mean I'm switching up on you. It just means that I got some new information. And I'll explain that, right? See, because transparency is something else that's sorely motherfucking lacking in a lot of sources that y'all fuck with. They won't tell you how they derived at their conclusions. They won't give you a glimpse into their logic. They won't break down for you their arguments because they count on your intellectual laziness. They count on you to just accept whole cloth what they're saying. So this way, when they flip the script up, you get caught flat-footed. You've been throwing money, time, resources, support behind these motherfuckers for ages. And now you sitting there looking like a damn fool. Another solution, family, is ride with people who are growing, right? In other words, expect some degree of change in clarification, in information that it becomes more solid over time. New data, expect that. Ride with those people. Those are the ones who are going to be with you to the end. The ones who are willing to do the hard work, the leg work, the mental effort of researching for themselves and for you to get better information, to get better data to present to you. Ride with them. But don't be afraid to cut bait when they stop, delivering you real solid information or when they change the game up. At this point, She who must not be named should have no support. But the problem is too many of us kept riding with her after she flipped the script, hoping that it was an aberration, right? Hoping that it was just some old fuckery that she was on for a brief minute and that she was going to come back to true. No. The very first moment that she dropped that fuckery, we should have been done. And we weren't. And we're paying the price for that now because she now has a much larger voice to say these hurtful, painful, deleterious things about your brothers because we didn't do our due diligence. We didn't hold her accountable. We're quick to hold somebody like me accountable. And like I said, I feel reasonably certain, and if you doubt me, all you have to do is just go back through my archives, that I have been consistently on message saying the exact same thing from video 1 to this one. But we don't have any accountability for she who must not be named. We don't have any accountability for people that have clearly established that at any given point they're willing to flip the script on us to their own benefit. No accountability whatsoever. It's wrong. Family, like I said, I know the real reason why there's a lot of you who don't fuck with me. I've acknowledged it before and I'm going to acknowledge it now. I understand it. You're not right. And how do I know that? Because you don't know what I know about me. You think you understand the level of my commitment to our people, but you don't. And truth be told, because we're in separate brains, you can't ever know. You'll never truly 100% know just how deeply I care for the struggle of my people. I can just communicate it to you, at which point you can either accept it or reject it. So I'm telling you, I'm going to continue to speak. Nobody gets to tell me that I'm not black anymore, that I don't get to speak on black issues. I've had people try to tell me I don't get to talk about sisters and their fuckery because I'm with a white bitch. Fuck you. I'm going to speak anyway. You don't have to fuck with me. You don't have to click any links on my work. You don't have to follow me. You don't have to pay me no money. You don't have to support me. My channel's not monetized, so you're not even funding me that way. You're not putting no bread in my so-called white bitch's pocket or any of that. But you can't stop me from talking. You can't stop me from advocacy. You can't stop me no matter what the fuck you say about me. You have your conjecture about me. I know the facts about me. So I know why you don't fuck with me. And it's cool. There's the door. Kick rocks. You don't have to come over here and troll me. I don't give a fuck about your opinions. None. So there's no need to troll. There's no need to try and sway me from the dark side. There's no need to try to pull me out of the sunken place. I'm not in a sunken place. I know what I'm on. So you don't have to waste your time or your effort trying to put me on blast when I go and appear in other people's broadcasts or in their chats. Nobody exposed me. I'm open about my shit, good, bad, or ugly. So you can stop wasting your time. You're not going to shut me up. You're not going to stop me from advocating and fighting for my people. You're not going to stop me from being a face. As much as you might hate it, if there are people that ride with me, you're not going to stop it. Not one bit. All you can do is be mad. Those dumb motherfuckers riding with that Becky fucking Buck. Fine. Be mad. Be in your fees. I don't give a fuck. But what you ain't going to do is shut me up. As much as you might wish you can. We got to watch out for the bait and switch. I've been consistent. I stay on message. But I will tell you this. The day you ever see Mark Black on some old kumbaya shit, the day you hear me start dropping POC bombs, people of color, people of color, people of color, the day you see me advocating for some what pale liberal motherfuckers is talking about, please feel free to withdraw your subscription and completely X my ass right off the internet. Don't give me no shine. Don't speak my name. Have your boundaries, family. I expect you to. Have your boundaries. The day I flip the script, the day I switch it up, the day I start soft shoeing and lightweight cooning and buck dancing, please feel free to just click elsewhere. I encourage you to, because at that point, I'm no good for you. Hell, I'm no good for me at that point. I'm definitely no good for you. How many of the people you fuck with will tell you that? They will encourage you to not listen to them should they start doing X, Y, and Z. Time to ask some hard questions in 2019, family. It's time to start holding some motherfuckers accountable. But more importantly, it's time for you to step into the fray. It's time for you to stop sidelining, to stop pushing your respective little leader or, the little clique that you are part of in various social media outlets. It's time for you to be the voice. Peace, Gab. Welcome to the broadcast. And thank you for letting me know you here. I appreciate the support. In 2019, you no longer have the luxury of passive consumption. You want a meal of liberation, a sprinkle of justice, a taste of freedom, right? A dash of peace. You're going to have to get in the kitchen and help cook this motherfucker. You're going to have to question every single person you listen to. I'm telling you, question me. Any information I give you, question it, research it, look at it for yourself. Let me be the start, or let me be a part of the start of your journey, not the end. I am not here to bring endings for you. I am here to bring beginnings for you, to help give birth to new ideas, new ways of thinking, new plans, new strategies that maybe you haven't thought of. That I sit up late at night with my insomniac ass and ponder upon to give to you as a free gift. And remember, family, the day I switch it up, the day you see Mark Black shuffling for massa, buck dancing for butter biscuits, the day you see me on some we're all one people and kumbaya and all of that other shit, shut my channel down. Shut me down. Don't watch me. Don't throw no resources my way. Don't devote a single neuron to Mark Black at that point. Because at that point, I'm no good for myself, let alone you. And you do the same. No matter who the sacred cow is. Because Michelle Alexander is a sacred cow, yes. The new Jim Crow opened up a lot of our eyes to something we weren't able to give voice to. Made her a sacred cow. But this ain't India. And even here, sacred cows get slaughtered for steak. And this motherfucker hung us out to dry to get more cred with the liberal pale people that she cares about so much, to get more credibility amongst the people of color that she gives so much of a fuck about. So just like you would for little old Mark Black, do the same for Michelle Alexander. There ain't no need to question why she's like that. She's given us intimations even in her work that she was on some old different shit, that it wasn't 100% black that she was on. But we let it slide because of the power of her message and what she was saying and the data she brought. We made a trade-off. Yeah, we'll let her talk about this black and brown and people of color shit as long as... Gab, there's an article that Michelle Alexander wrote. It's an op-ed that she wrote in the New York Times recently talking about none of us deserve citizenship, where she advocated for an open border policy and the stopping of the so-called mistreatment on a moral basis of the immigrants that are attempting to come into America. First of all, I take umbrage like a motherfucker with the idea that nobody's earned their citizenship. Look, say what you will about the fact that the Pale people stole this country from the Indians and all of that. The fact is they stole it. And they made it into a country. They delineated it as the United Snakes of America, a nation. Okay? So in this nation, if there has been anybody who has earned the right to the title citizen of the United Snakes, is us. We have fought in every war. Every war, there's been a black face in it. We have died in every conflict this country's ever fought. We literally built the economy that this country continues, even in its death throes, to thrive off of. But we don't deserve our citizenship. We basically are supposed to be like, oh, you little Latinos and everybody in your poor countries and whatever, come on in. Are you tired? You huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Damn it, we're still yearning to breathe free in this motherfucker. We haven't had a chance at the fullest expression of our citizenship that we earned. And this bitch argues that we should just give it away? Is she mad? No, she's not mad. In point of fact, she is on the same shit she always been on. In the new Jim Crow. Go in there and count how many times she says black and brown. How many times she says people of color. Because to people like Michelle Alexander, our oppression isn't a reality. It's a motherfucking theoretical exercise to be hemmed and hawed and discussed and doing dissertations on in the academy. It ain't real to her ass. Because if she truly understood what we face as a people in Fortress America, a sick-ass op-ed like the one she just had published in the New York Times would have never left her fingertips. She has essentially let us know beyond any shadow of a doubt what she truly understands about what we face, the descendants of slaves face in this country. She has let it be known. She gave us intimations before. You know, hints, breadcrumbs, that if you follow them lead inevitably to the bullshit op-ed that she had published in the New York Times. We gave her a pass because of the power of what she was saying as it relates to us, how the new Jim Crow affects us. What I could never understand, and again, I've read the book, so if you haven't read the book, you have no room for critique of the sister. But what I could never understand was how she could title the book The New Jim Crow and then argue about the effects of mass incarceration on black and brown people when brown people, like Latinos, Dot Indians, and so on and so forth, were never under fucking Jim Crow. Again, a hard question. Thank you for that link, Gab, I appreciate that. I really do. As a matter of fact, let me do something here. I'm going to see if I can make you a mod. I'm going to give you a wrench, Gab, because I want to thank you and show my respect for your loyalty, for your support. I know that you will work hard to ensure that we give good information to our people. And I know you're going to keep me accountable. No, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, that's a link to the article, family. So read it for yourself. This open border rhetoric. Look, I don't give a fuck about the Tangerine King, Imperator Trump, first of his name and all of that shit. But truth is truth, even when it comes from the devil. And I'm tired of kissing the ass and watching punk ass non-patriotic immigrants come here from other places and take opportunities and food and bread out of my people's mouth. What is so hard for these liberal ass black people covered in the gooey balm of white acceptance? What is it so hard for them to understand about this? That for people like myself, I grew up in the motherfucking hood, in the PJs, in the projects. I remember back after the Vietnam War how they let all these motherfucking Vietnamese in, and they started off in the projects, but they didn't stay there. They rose up on our backs, taking advantage of benefits that were supposed to be helping us to get a hand up out of poverty, to make us whole. And as soon as they did it, they turned around and act just like the whitest. But we supposed to continue to cape and co-sign. Look, Trump can't build that motherfucking wall tall enough. And he can't build it deep enough. And he can't do enough motherfucking background checks and passport checks and all that shit enough for me. Fuck, I say turn off the spigot completely. I don't want no motherfucking dot Indians coming over here talking about they want to be here on H-1B visas and shit so these tech companies can continue to hand these motherfucking jobs that Americans, us, should be able to do. I want these companies to be forced to invest in us so that we can get involved in the tech boom, so that we can get some of that Amazon money and that motherfucking Google and Alphabet money and that Facebook money, instead of them paying cheap ass labor from India and Pakistan and places elsewhere. Shut the motherfucking spigot off. I don't want no motherfucking people coming over here from Africa, because as much as I love my black African brothers and sisters, when they get over here, they act just like the whitest do. They adopt the motherfucking cultural mores that the white man's ice is colder. And another problem that I have with these motherfuckers that come over here from other places is they want to tell us that we don't deserve what we should be getting. That we should be shafted. We should pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. When these motherfuckers are some of the most unpatriotic motherfuckers you could ever meet, and I can prove it to you in one instance. Ask yourself this question. After 400 years of fuckery in this country, you still here. Why are they here? That's right. Why don't those Nigerian motherfuckers who like to look down on us and shit on us, why ain't they back in Nigeria making Nigeria better, being patriotic citizens? They want to come here and be citizens of this country and haven't even established that they can be patriots of the country that they fucking from. All the Ghanaians that come here and call us Akata and so on and so forth. Right? All the Ethiopians that come here. They want the benefits of patriotism, of citizenship when they come here. and tell us we don't fucking deserve it when they haven't even been patriots to their own homelands, when they haven't fought. Family, I heard a statistic the other day, fucked me up. There are more Ethiopian doctors practicing medicine here in the United States than are practicing medicine in Ethiopia. Ain't that a bitch? But they got the nerve to want to look down on you and me as the descendants of slaves and tell us that we somehow or another are deficient in some way, shape, or fashion because there's plenty of opportunities for them and none for us, even though we all know that that's by design. My sister Yvette Carnell says this. She says that Black people in this country, the descendants of slaves, are the ones who are meant to eat the failure of America, the failure of democracy, the failure of capitalism, the failure of the free market, the failure of the healthcare system, the failure of the legal and justice system, the failure of the legislature, the failure of the Supreme Court. We the ones that get to eat that. Nobody else that comes to this motherfucker, whether you Vietnamese, Laotian, Cambodian, Slovenian, motherfucking Lithuanian, whether you motherfucking Chadian or Ugandan or anybody else that comes here is stuck in that position. No one else has to eat the fucking failure of the experiment known as Fortress America. That's us. And these sons of bitches come here and like look at the so-called black actors from elsewhere. All these black actors, these African-based black actors from the UK and other places coming over here taking roles from black actors and actresses that we have here in America and then want to shit on us talking about how hard they work to get those roles. Man, fuck you. I told you in 2019, family, we got house cleaning to do. There's people that appear to be our skin folk, but they ain't our kin folk. This isn't hatred toward them, but this is calling out they fuckery. Shit, if I had the advocacy, if I had the political voice, if I had the means right now, if I had the means, I would get in front of Donald Trump and just say one thing: shut the spigot off. We don't want no more of them motherfuckers coming over here. Nobody. I don't give a fuck what country you come from. Now, I recognize that people that are seeking asylum and all this other shit, right, for humanitarian reasons, right, because they tried to sell us that bill of goods on these motherfuckers coming from Honduras, right? They coming over here seeking asylum because of violence and crime and all that shit in their country. And I'm thinking to myself, I grew up in a neighborhood where the criminals came from both without and within. Because the cops and the police and the city infrastructure was just as much criminal to us as the motherfucking gangs was in my neighborhood. Right? I'm under constant threat of criminality, being extrajudicially executed on the street by pigs. Where the fuck can I go for asylum? I can't run to Canada and say, oh, Canada, America hates niggas and they fucking us up. Can I become a citizen? They look at me like I'm stupid. So everybody can get humanitarian aid. We motherfucking citizens. Remember how much humanitarian aid we got during Katrina? Oh, FEMA and all of them were overflowing with humanity. Oh, wait, no, they wasn't. But now you're demanding what my ancestors and I and all the black people who are descendants of slaves around me have fought, sweat, bled, and died for. You just demanding we just give it to everybody. Fuck that. Shut off the goddamn spigot. I don't want no more Lupita Nyong'os. I don't want no more motherfucking Sofia Vergara's. I don't want no more motherfucker. I don't want nobody. Fuck them all. Until you do justice by my tribe here in the United States, I don't want to hear shit about no immigrants nowhere. I don't give a fuck what happens to them. I don't give a fuck what happens to a single one of them. Like in the words of my man Torian Rain, I feel nothing. Because we don't have the luxury to feel anything when it comes to them while we still getting done up. We don't. Look, family, here's the fucked up part about the Michelle Alexander op-ed. If you really think about it, again, you come here, you're going to have to do some heavy lifting. You're going to have to use your motherfucking brain computer. In the words of our ascended ancestor and Queen Mother Frances Cress Welsing, you're going to have to use your brain computer when you fuck with me over here. You don't get to passively hoover up content, all right? So this was the fucked up part about that op-ed article, besides the fact that it was just, in my opinion, an out and out betrayal of black people. How is it that Michelle Alexander argues or advocates that we give these motherfuckers coming from outside the country something we still don't have the fullest expression of? So I'm supposed to let you use my car, but the brakes don't work. It's missing a wheel, right? The steering only turns to the left and the transmission is slipping. The fuck? The fuck? So I'm supposed to give naturalization and citizenship to all these foreign motherfuckers who ain't put in a penny on anything in this goddamn country. And I don't even have the fullest expression of it yet. This country has not done justice for my tribe. Japanese get interned in camps during World War II, they get reparations. Jews who were never put in or I should say so-called Jews who were never put in no motherfucking ovens over here or herded into no concentration camps over here, I've paid reparations for. New Native American tribes, including a bunch of pale-skinned $5 Indians, are getting recognized every day with all the concomitant money and sovereignty and land that goes with that. Everybody can come here and get a piece of the pie as long as they commit to making sure that the descendants of slaves continue to eat the failure. Nuh-uh. Not your boy and not you. No. Fuck him. Michelle Alexander will never watch this broadcast, that I know for a fact. But if and you ever do, Michelle, understand this. We saw you. Those of us who really paid attention to your full work, not just the rhetoric that said the things that we wanted to hear, that spoke to our experience, but who paid attention to everything you said and everything you did, the ones amongst us who weren't laying down in the intellectually passive and lazy role, we saw the breadcrumbs from the beginning. What you said in that op-ed does not surprise me. It should, however, be a wake-up call and a reminder to our people that past performance is no guarantee of future results. That simply because you might have been on some shit that elucidated and made clear a major issue that we face, which is the reinstitution of slavery under another name through mass incarceration, that simply because you did that does not give you a pass for a betrayal like this. This is a line crossing. This is a deal breaker. I am going to have to say at this point, Michelle Alexander, fuck you. Oh, don't get me wrong. If you still feel like putting out something that I can get some truth from, I'm going to take the truth from you. But trust, you ain't got it from me. It's easy as fuck to lose trust and hard as fuck to get it back. You go your way. Go over there and keep kissing the ass of those pale liberal academics you love so much. Don't expect to see black folk like us at your lectures. Go in and get those people of color who you just advocated we throw open the motherfucking doors for. Let them support you. Let the next book you write or the next piece you do, I'm bootlegging it. I ain't paying you shit. You're done. If I can be held accountable, you, Miss Alexander, will be held accountable. If I have anything to say about it, if I can make sure that people within the sound of my voice have any say about it, you will be held accountable for this betrayal, for this violation, this fuckery that you openly, on a national forum, advocated for. No passes. None. Just like we didn't get no passes to Kanye when he's sitting there in the White House on that dragon energy bullshit and Donald Trump is his daddy and all this. And we didn't give him no pass. We're done. We're not giving you no passes either. In 2019, fuck passes for people. If they ain't consistently speaking to us, about us and our issues, advocating publicly, whether it's in the UN, like in the case of Mark Lamont Hill, or whether it's in the New York Times in the case of Michelle Alexander, or whatever, if they're not consistent in their advocacy for justice, liberation, resources, peace, safety, care, and concern for black people, the descendants of slaves specifically, but black people generally, this is what I got for you. You can have either one of them, or you can have them both. Stop gambling, family. Stop being intellectually lazy, family. Be patient. Let people pass the eye test first. Right? Have your boundaries. It's okay for you to be suspicious of your man Mark Black. Family, I get it. I understand why you're suspicious. I'm not saying you're right, but I understand your suspicion. Be suspicious of me. I beg you. Watch me like a motherfucking hawk. Watch me like a hawk. You should. Because we've all been burnt 1,000 times before. So watch me. Keep me accountable. I beg you. If you hate Mark Black so much, here's a challenge to all of you who hate the fact that I'm in the marital situation that I'm in and thinking that I'm going to flip the script or that I can't be a face. Here's my challenge to you. Why don't you join me and keep me accountable? Why don't you join me so that if I ever flip the script, you have all the information you need to put me on public blast so that I'm never a fucking voice again? If you think that I'm going to short you, come get the information. Come get the evidence. If you think that I'm going to sell you out, how you going to know if you don't ride with me? If you never hear me speak? If you discount my voice at every turn? How you going to know? Because right now, all you got is fucking conjecture. And that shit means a hill of beans. Your fucking conjecture about what Mark Black is and 50 Cent won't even buy your ass a cup of coffee. So that's my challenge to all of you who say I don't get to be a face because of my marital situation, right? To all of you who say I can't speak for my people. I can't advocate for my people. I can't be pro my people. Come fuck with me. Gather your evidence. I guarantee you, if I'm on some shady shit, inevitably I'm going to do something that is going to provide you with all the evidence you need to ensure that Mark Black is never an issue again. That you never have to worry about listening to my voice. That you can discount everything I say from that point on. I promise you. Where there's smoke, there's fire, right? So if Mark Black is so deleterious to our people, if I'm so hurtful to our people that I should not even be allowed to speak, come get your evidence. Come join every broadcast. Don't troll me. Don't act shady. Don't act like bitches. Come fuck with me and see. Get your evidence. Because I guarantee you get the evidence, everybody will say, we knew that nigga was shady all along. Even though before it came out about my marital situation, I had so many people riding with me, it wasn't even funny. Because I stay on message, which is practical, actual, factual information for my people that we can use and to defeat our historic and current oppressors, whiteism and its acolytes. I've been the same from moment one to today. Ain't nobody got no evidence. Ain't nobody exposed me. My wife could walk in here right now and hear me talking about them pale demonic ass devils and she won't say shit. She don't run this. She don't tell me what my message is. She don't tell me what my mind is, what the information in my head is, who I can advocate for, who I can fight for, her and nobody. So if you think I'm so deleterious, if you think I'm so fucking bad that I shouldn't even be allowed to speak, come get your evidence. I'm inviting you. Come on. Come on over. Listen to what the fuck I gotta say. Because I promise you, if I'm on some fuckery, it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out. I can't hide it forever. Nobody can. So don't squelch me. Don't dismiss me out of hand, throwing out the baby with the bathwater, throwing out the data, the information that I try to bring us because you don't have the intellectual capacity to separate what I said from who I am. Come fuck with me. Come get this evidence that I'm hurting our people. I challenge you to do it. Family, I won't keep this one going. I want to say, first of all, that I can see people subscribing. I can see that you guys are sharing these broadcasts. If you're here, if you Gab, I want to shout out Gab, who I just made a mod. Thank you, Gab, for your work, for your efforts, your support. Ms. Denny, love to you as always, right? Who else I want to shout out? 118, whose support and love is always appreciated. If you're here watching live, put your name up here. We're about to shut it down, so you don't have to worry about participating. Just let me shout you out for the love. Unless you don't want it to be known you fuck with your boy, in which case I don't want you here anyway. Kick rocks. But family, past performance is no guarantee of future results, which is why you have to have a mentality of eternal vigilance. You don't get to be passive consumers of information, of content. You have to be a participant. You have to have healthy boundaries, lines beyond which there's no question that needs to be asked when someone crosses them. And you need to have those lines, those boundaries in place individually for your relationships, right? For your families. And ultimately, we will all have to come together as one people and stop this collective bullshit and come together as actual people and develop boundaries and lines that delineate our tribe, our people. All right? Understand, family, that the real danger of these connections you see a lot of us having with these liberal pale people and their acolytes is that because a lot of us get addicted to that acceptance from them, that it makes us vulnerable to fucking over and shitting on black people in the future so that we can get it again. Because that's the real reason why people hate me so much. Is because they think I'm vulnerable to that. And I don't blame them. I just challenge them. Come get the evidence. Watch out for the bait and switch. Everything that look good ain't good for you, family. Change is inevitable, right? I'm not saying don't let people evolve. Don't let people learn new information and make corrections, course corrections. This is not a rudderless boat to be pushed around by the wind, right? We've got a rudder. We got to steer this motherfucker, which means that sometimes we got to make course corrections to avoid icebergs, to avoid reefs, but we still headed in the same direction. Ride with those people that you see growing. Support them, right? When someone comes to you and they say, family, I fucked up. That information I gave you is bad. Here's the true. That's somebody you need to be giving your coins to, your resources, your time to, your efforts, your hearts to. But don't be afraid to cut bait when they stop doing that or when they change the game up. I love you, family. This is why I do what I do. Just to finish it up, if you thought what I did today was worth supporting, you want to throw a few coins at your boy, go ahead and do that here. I do have some long-term projects. I'm going to go into more detail when I have some more support on this thing, but I got some long-term projects that I want to do to bring you better content, better information, more hard-hitting, more investigative. And so if you want to support me on a more long-term basis, again, no pressure, no bullshit, there's a link to my Patreon there. You'll also find them in the description field of the video. Family, I'm going to finish this up with the same way that I do always, and that is to wish you love, peace, prosperity, and power. Real power to our people.